Hello all. Today from the western coast we are moving to the eastern coast to the state of Odisha and see its journey from NFHS 4 to NFHS 5. Odisha has fared well in improving the nutrition status of its children. It has done so in reduction in child mortality as well. But within Odisha, there are strong regional variations in this performance. The coastal region, by and large, has performed well, much better. In fact, one can say it has performed on par with the southern states. But the southern and the northern regions of the state have lagged behind. It is important, therefore, to map this journey and see the need for a decentralized planning within the state itself. In drawing these maps, we have used nfhs4.indiagis.org, which you can see on your screen, and similarly nfhs5.indiagis.org. This map or this kind of a mapping, you could do it yourself by going to the site. How has the story unfolded for different facets of child malnutrition? So let us take a look at the underweight first. As in other narrations, we have used the same cutoffs for both NFHS 4 and NFHS 5 precisely to see the gains made in NFHS 5 vis-a-vis NFHS 4. So you will notice that in the underweight category, that is children under 5 years of age who are underweight, there are definitely gains in the northern region, in the southern region also. The coastal belt has held its gains, but there is a surprising position with respect to the district of Mayurbhanj, which has turned from yellow into red. But the other interesting thing is to see is the change in the data range. It has changed from 16.5 at the lower end, 51.8 at the higher end. In NFHS 5, it comes down to 11 at the lower end and 46.6 at the higher end. That means we are seeing a reduction across the spectrum. We go to stunting to see how the story has unfolded. Again, we notice coastal region holds its gains, but that green patch actually moves from the coastal side towards the northern division of the state. Southern region doesn't fare as well, but in the northern region, with the exception of Sambalpur district, you can see green patches emerging. Again, we notice the reduction in the data range. For stunting in NFHS 4, it ranged from 15.3% children being stunted to 47.5% children being stunted. In NFHS 5, this range goes down to 13.2 at the lower end and also reduces to 44 at the higher end. So this also shows that there is a uniform decline in stunting. When you go to wasting, here one can say that Odisha has put its best foot forward. You notice a contiguous green belt in the coastal and the northern districts. You also see the red band reducing, if not disappearing. Even in the southern districts, they have moved to the yellow band or the green band. Mind you, this is when we have taken the NFHS 4 cutoffs. So there's a very clear gain in reducing wasting among the children as far as NFHS 5 is concerned. Again, we can see that the range has moved from 9.1 to 36.0, that was the NFHS 4 range. It has come down to 7.9 at the lower end and 28.5 at the higher end. However, reduction Mayurbhanj and its adjoining district Keonjhar, they give a little surprise in NFHS 5, and that is something which one needs to look at more closely. But the same story doesn't repeat in severe wasting. In fact, we find very puzzling changes. So the northern and the southern region gains, in fact, whereas coastal region, you can see districts losing out. That means severe wasting has gone up if you look at the NFHS 4 cutoffs. Now this has an interesting implication once again, that if wasting has gone down and severe wasting has not, or if severe wasting has increased, it means severe wasting as a fraction of wasted children has gone up. And that's a matter of concern and would again require a closer scrutiny of why that is happening. Data range again in severe wasting from 2.8% to 11.6% in NFHS 4. In NFHS 5 it comes down to 1.4, but at the higher end it goes up to 12.7. This is a departure from the past, and here again Mayurbhanj turns out to be an surprising exception, one would say. From a green patch it moves to a red patch. How has the story unfolded in the mortality regime? Now let us look at Odisha's figures. Neonatal mortality has reduced very marginally from 28 to 27, so it's not much of a reduction. But the gains in reducing infant mortality and under 5 mortality that have been significant in the rural segment, and since rural predominates, it's also significant in the total segment. But we can't say the same thing when it comes to urban IMR and under 5 mortality rate, because it has under 5 mortality rate has gone up, and that would need some kind of an attention. So if you look at the figures of under 5 mortality rate between NFHS 4 and NFHS 5 in the urban segment, it has posted an increase, which should be a matter of worry, because urban has better wherewithal to tackle infant and child mortality. We move to this issue of anemia, and again we find a very implausible picture emerging. Now this is a story across different states in NFHS 5, that anemia levels have shot up, and they have shot up almost implausibly. So here again we notice children in the 6 to 59 months age group. We keep the same cutoff as NFHS 4. There you see a northern and southern, a contiguous red belt. You see a continuous green patch and intermediate yellow. But when you use the same cutoffs, practically the green disappears, red expands quite significantly, and more interestingly, the range moves from 18.9 at the lower end, 75.3 at the higher end. From there, it straight away moves to 43.2 at the lower end. A sharp jump is more than double, and 78.7 at the higher end, which is a marginal increase. What happens in the case of children from 6 months to 59 months age group? Similar pattern can be seen when it comes to women in the 15 to 19 age group. Again, we notice if we keep the same cutoff as the NFHS 4 had, the green patch almost entirely disappears when we come to NFHS 5. Is a largish yellow belt, but again the red zones predominate. And if you see the range of percentage anemic women, it has changed from 35% to 80%. That's the range roughly in NFHS 4. Now it goes to almost 49 to 85.7. So the lower end shows a very sharp increase. Looking at this, we found no point in projecting two more maps, but it's more interesting to look at the range. And therefore, the next table that you see on your screen looked at the lower end, the lower bound, and the upper bound between NFHS 4 and NFHS 5. The upper bound can still be accepted. It is not implausible. But at the lower end, you see the increase, which is very sharp. For children, it moves from 18.9 to 43.2. All women in the 15 to 19 age group, it moves from 35 to almost 48 or 49, you could say. Among pregnant women, the lower end moves from 11.1 to 40.7. It's more than a threefold increase. And for non-pregnant women, it moves from 36 to 48. Now this points out towards a very implausible increase. It is almost as if the lower bound has been jacked up very significantly and a marginal rise in the upper bound. Now this prima facie looks implausible and would call for closer scrutiny of the NFHS 5 anemia data. Finally, to recap, Odisha's coastal belt has fared well in improving the nutrition status of its children. Interestingly, Puri, Jagatsinghpur and Kendrapada, these contiguous districts, show very low levels of malnutrition. So these can be the districts that we can call as closest to the goalpost in terms of being freed from undernutrition. So this whole talk of Kuposhan Mukt Bharat, which presupposes Kuposhan Mukt states and which will presuppose a Kuposhan Mukt district, I think can Odisha consider the task of taking up the challenge of having a Kuposhan Mukt block in these districts, if not the full district, or having the block or the district free from wasting and underweight. I think we leave viewers with this thought before moving to another state in our next episode. Thank you very much.